As soon as they think they know you, that's when you hit them with the Stone Cold Stunner. One of the greatest members of the Enforcer faction and the original master of Cucullin, Bazett Fraga. Let's get it. To start us off, she comes with her own gloves and shoes that are reinforced with rune magecraft, providing her with gruesome ability when it comes to attack and defense. She created a crater in the ground from one of her punches alone. Opening doors the normal way is old-fashioned. Who needs a key when Bazett can just kick it down with brute force? She karate chopped several of Shadow Emia's steel swords with her bare hands. She easily was able to avoid dual knives from Luvia's butler and punch him straight into the wall. If you think your cheap tricks are gonna work here, then think again. You spike volleyballs, we spike chandeliers. Get your game up. She was able to smash through several of Ilya's magical barriers with no problem. Keep in mind that these same magical barriers can tank several laser beams from Shadow Medea. She picked up the concrete out the ground itself and shattered straight through it along with Ilya. When she was going up against Shadow Gil, she was real life beating this man up. Just the impact of her punches was creating shockwaves that hit the wall behind him. She dodged several of Luvia's gem attacks, then blitzed straight through them. She took even more gem attacks head on and grabbed Luvia by the throat. Get over here. She took one of Luvia's gander bullets to the dome and shook it off with no problem. She casually knocked away Luvia's gander bullet when she was at her mansion. She was punching through multiple of Ilya's magical blasts like she was playing baseball, deflecting some of them back at her. She nullified Ilya's magical wave by just stepping on it. Real steppers are in the building. Once again, to put this into perspective, this same energy wave was strong enough to slice a tree in half. She managed to jump at least 12 stories and do a perfect landing with no damage. Are you a mage or an acrobat? I can't tell the difference. She took one of Luvia's gem grenades to the face and came out unscathed. Luvia used her magecraft to blow up the entire mansion, and Ilya was horrified at the idea that she was able to tank it. She took a brutal kick from Kuro in their fight and got right back up. When Miyu was using the rider card, she made Pegasus slam Bazett from numerous meters in the air, and this didn't stop her either. And although class cards are nerfed in comparison to a real servant, Bazett was able to tank a Pegasus charge head on and then bounce back. She then tactfully used this to her advantage, took another charge on purpose to grab a hold of Pegasus and get the upper hand. What a monster! In the fight against Zababa, she flat out tanked one of the hits from the colossal giant head on. She's very calculated, constantly looking for a way to make an opening, taking another 6 slashes from Kuro on purpose in order to land a brutal punch. Her willpower is also on another level. She took 8 impalements from Shadow Gil, 2 of them being fatal, and refused to go down. She even has resurrection runes. You heard me right? Even if you do manage to take her down, she has runes that can bring her back to life at peak power. She took Shadow Gil's phantasm to the heart and came back with a vengeance. She's been shown to be extremely agile, being able to dodge bullets in a hallway where there's nowhere to run, bouncing off of the walls on top of that. Now we just flexing. She dodged dual machine gun bullets at point blank and continued to do so throughout the entirety of the room. She was dodging several magical whips when she was closing in before Shadow Gil. She ran through a rainstorm of Shadow Gil's phantasms like they weren't even there. Her ridiculous strength and her speed combined is akin to a monoburst. Let's keep it 1,000. Why walk up the stairs when you can just jump up the rails instead? Jordan who? She speed dashed across the field against Ilya in an instant. She tactfully ran up up Zababa's arm and then tanked his hit right after, Kuro tried to sneak an attack from behind Bazett and she still got hit first. How do you let this happen? She broke an entire tree in half with her bare hands, then turned it to a weapon on top of that. She caught Kuro's sword with her hand at point blank. She caught Kuro's arrow in her hand and threw it back with even more force than it had before. Allow me to show you how it's really done. She had enough fortitude to break out of Ilya's magical traps, then dodge her beam moments before its arrival. Then you have Bazett's trump card. Let's talk about it. A literal noble phantasm that's been passed down through her family line. A sword from the war god Lug, who is also Ku's father. This phantasm allows her to manipulate causality and one-shot her opponent once they pull out their best move. If you value life, I advise that you proceed with caution. She was able to use this against Miyu and overpower her Bellerophon. She can use up to 3 of them at one time. By doing this, she was able to alter their effect and shoot through an entire wall of Shadow Guild's phantasms. Back when she was at Luvia's mansion, she was able to casually toss an entire couch across the room with one hand, by the way. When she was fighting against the Shades in Ataraxia, she mercilessly crushed one of their skulls just by doing a right jab. Angra himself mentioning that it's hard to believe that punch even came from a human. In just 40 seconds, Bazett was able to smash straight through the Tosaka bounded field, which is wild when you consider all the trouble Assassin went to back in Fate Zero. She landed 7 fatal blows on Ilya's maid, each one being strong enough to blow her organs out her back. Ilya described her to have a barrage technique that allows her to attack from every single angle. You ain't going nowhere. In Ataraxia, she pulled off this same technique, killing multiple enemies at once, the output being compared to a spinning top. Even Angra Manyu was impressed that she managed to take down nearly 20 shade monsters and think nothing about it. She casually made a crater beneath her just so she could use the smoke as a diversion. She casually used her power to launch Rin numerous meters into the air. She punched the hole through Shadow Guild's chest to reach his card when she was fighting against Beatrice. Her hits were enough to completely shatter Beatrice's metal gauntlet. Even when she was joking around, her throwing a card at Beatrice was enough to knock her to the ground. She flat out Hulk slammed Miyu when they were in their fight. Somebody call child protection, would you? She tanked an entire axe from a shadow giant, only being pushed back slightly. Her reflexes are not to be written off, being able to respond to surprise attacks in mere seconds. In Hollow Ataraxia, when she faced off against the Edelfelt sisters, she dealt with a barrage of Gander bullets just by parrying them. By normal standards, a Gander is capable of one-shotting you. You have the scene where Rin tried to infuse her Gander bullets with Gem Magecraft, and they still didn't do damage. If anything, it just pissed her off. When Darius pulled up, she skillfully jumped through a glass window and came out unscathed. She took on a blow from the Edelfelt's unnamed saber and was only pushed back. Her tolerance for taking damage is abnormally high. If it doesn't take her life, it's none of her concern. The manga itself tells us that her runes make her hands stronger than tungsten steel. She easily was able to speed dash across multiple boulders when they were fighting against the shadow monsters. During her fight from Ataraxia, she had enough strength behind her attack to kick a shade monster's head directly off of his body. As I mentioned before, her punches are said to come out at least 80 kilometers an hour. Disgusting. She easily was able to manage a surprise attack from Miyu. She was fast enough to blitz Beatrice while she was using the Magni card and dodge Thor's hammer. She weaved through a countless amount of Shadow Guild's phantasms, even though they were coming out of the floor at point blank. When you look back at Ataraxia, she was regarded as the literal best close range fighter they had at the clock tower. She mentioned that even even when she was inexperienced, she was able to body one of the Ironburn's homunculi. Nasu himself mentioned that even if Shiro reached his full potential, she would still mop the floor with him. In Prisma Ilya, prior to her meeting up with Ilya, she had already defeated Shadow Ku and Archer. Even the Mystic Code RWBY mentioned that she's one of the only people that can match a heroic spirit with her bare hands. Nasu also mentioned if there was a fight between Kazuki, Fate Stay Night Kirei, and Bazett that was pure martial arts, by normal standards, she would curb stomp them both. This is ludicrous. She also has a great number of other runes that she can count on. In Prisma Ilya, she plays several warding runes throughout the school that work together to alarm her of the enemy. She mentions that she has runes that can speed up her healing. She has runes that can shield her from assaults, as we've seen her use in preparation against Angra Mainyu. She has the Kanaz rune that increases her sight, that allowed her to see over the entire district of Shinto. When they were up against Beatrice, she had runes that protected her and Ilya from thunder and lightning. She has runes that can increase her speed, going as far to outrun Berserker and leave him in the dust. And just like Ku, this doesn't even account for the fact of the several runes we've yet to see. When you look at Hollow Ataraxia in the loops of Angra Mainyu, they managed to defeat 5 servants, with her doing majority of the work. Not only did she defeat Artoria, but she took her life and canceled out Excalibur before it even took effect. Same thing goes for Lancer. She was able to one-shot Ku Cullen just by using her Froggerok, going out in a double KO. In Ataraxia, Rin mentions herself that Bazett would easily give her and Shiro that work. In Prisma Ilya, before Beatrice's revival, Bazett flat out took her life with Froggerok and destroyed Thor's divine core. Her downsides, of course, would be her exceptions to her Froggerok, such as somebody that can revive or who doesn't have a heart. Are you kidding me? One of the best at the clock tower? She's out here beating servants with no problem. She negated one of the strongest swords in the franchise and told it to kick rocks. If this isn't A rank, I don't know what is. Who will turn up next? You just gotta find out. And yes, we do masters too. Can't believe they tried to box me in.